Ladies and gentlemen, we've all been there feeling like an afterthought, like someone's option instead of their priority. But what happens when the tables turn? What happens when the person who took you for granted finally realizes your worth? Let's talk about 3 key points: recognizing your value, walking away with strength, and letting them feel the consequences. Recognizing your value is the foundation of self-respect and strong relationships. It is the moment you realize that your worth is not determined by how someone treats you, but by how you see yourself. Many people fall into the trap of waiting for external validation, hoping that someone will finally see them, appreciate them, or choose them. But the truth is, if you don't recognize your own value first, you will always accept less than you deserve. Understanding your worth means knowing deep down that you are enough, that your love, your time, and your energy are precious, and that you should never settle for being someone's option. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is believing that love is about proving oneself to another person. You may have given everything to someone, thinking that if you were patient enough, kind enough, or loving enough, they would finally see your worth. But the reality is, love does not require you to convince someone of your value. When someone truly values you, they see it from the start. They don't need countless chances, repeated forgiveness, or endless sacrifices on your part to realize your importance in their life. When you don't recognize your own value, you tolerate behavior that you would otherwise reject. You make excuses for someone's inconsistency, overlook their lack of effort, and convince yourself that maybe one day they will change. But the truth is, people treat you based on the standard you set for yourself. If you allow yourself to be an option, you will always be treated like one. When you finally step into your power and embrace your worth, everything changes. You no longer tolerate half-hearted love, unanswered texts, or emotional breadcrumbs. Instead, you demand the respect and effort that you know you deserve. Self-worth is not just about relationships, it is about the way you carry yourself in every aspect of life. It reflects in the way you walk into a room, the way you communicate, and the way you handle challenges. When you truly understand your value, you stop begging for attention or waiting for someone to notice you. You radiate confidence, and people can sense it. The ones who once took you for granted begin to see what they lost, not because you tried to prove anything, but because your absence speaks louder than any words ever could. It is painful to realize that someone you cared about never truly appreciated you. It hurts to accept that you are only an option in their life while you made them a priority. But the beauty of recognizing your value is that it shifts your perspective. Instead of seeing it as a loss, you see it as a lesson. Instead of feeling rejected, you feel empowered. Because once you realize that you were never the problem, you stop blaming yourself for someone else's inability to love you properly. People who fail to recognize your worth often do so because they assume you will always be there. They get comfortable with the idea that you will always forgive, always wait, and always be available. But the moment you choose yourself, everything changes. The calls that were once ignored become desperate attempts to reach you. The indifference that once made you feel invisible turns into regret. But by the time they realize what they had, you have already moved on to something better: peace, self-respect, and the realization that you never needed their validation to begin with. Recognizing your value is not about arrogance or proving a point. It is about self-love and understanding that you deserve a relationship where you are cherished, not tolerated. It is about knowing that your love is a privilege, not a convenience. And most importantly, it is about never again accepting the bare minimum from someone who never saw your worth until it was too late. Walking away with strength is one of the hardest yet most empowering decisions you will ever make. It requires courage, self-respect, and the ability to choose yourself over someone who took you for granted. The moment you decide to walk away, you are no longer begging for love, attention, or validation. Instead, you are reclaiming your dignity and showing yourself the love that someone else failed to give you. Many people stay in situations where they are not valued because they fear the unknown. They wonder if they will ever find someone better, if they are making the right decision, or if walking away means they are giving up too soon. But the truth is, walking away is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength. It means you have recognized that staying in a situation where you are not appreciated is far more damaging than facing the uncertainty of being alone. It is choosing peace over chaos, self-respect over desperation, and emotional freedom over toxic cycles. One of the most painful experiences in life is realizing that you have given your all to someone who never truly valued you. You stayed, hoping they would change, believing that if you just loved them a little harder, they would finally see your worth. But the harsh reality is that people do not change unless they want to. No amount of patience, kindness, or sacrifice can make someone love you the way you deserve if they are not willing to. The moment you understand this is the moment you take back your power. Walking away with strength means accepting that you cannot force someone to see your value. It means understanding that love is not about convincing someone to choose you, it is about being with someone who chooses you willingly every single day. When you walk away, you send a clear message not just to them, but to yourself. You are saying, I am no longer willing to accept less than I deserve. And that is one of the most powerful declarations of self-love you can make. It is not easy to leave behind someone you cared about. The memories, the what-ifs, and the attachment can make it feel impossible. But staying in a situation where you are only tolerated, not cherished, is far more painful in the long run. When you walk away, you give yourself the chance to heal, to grow, and to make space for something better. You open the door to a life where you are no longer waiting for someone to change, but instead embracing the love and respect you have always deserved. One of the most important things to remember when walking away is that it is not about making the other person suffer. It is not about revenge or proving a point. It is about setting yourself free. It is about choosing peace over emotional exhaustion, self-worth over settling, and happiness over heartbreak. Walking away is not about bitterness, it is about clarity. It is about realizing that you do not need to stay in a situation that drains you just because you once hoped it would get better. When you finally walk away, you may feel a mix of emotions: relief, sadness, anger, and even doubt. That is normal. But with time, you will see that the pain of leaving is nothing compared to the pain of staying where you were not valued. The moment you let go of what was holding you back, you begin to rediscover yourself. You start to focus on your own happiness, your own growth, and your own future, rather than trying to fix something that was never meant to be. And here's the thing: when you walk away with strength, the person who took you for granted will eventually feel your absence. They may realize what they lost, but by then, you will be in a place where their regret no longer matters. Because the greatest power you have is knowing that you never needed them to be whole. You were always enough on your own. Walking away is not losing, it is winning. It is choosing yourself, and there is nothing stronger than that. Letting them feel the consequences of their actions is not about revenge, nor is it about proving a point. It is about stepping back and allowing reality to teach them what they refused to see when they had the chance. When someone takes you for granted, they assume you will always be there. They believe they can come and go as they please, making minimal effort while expecting your full devotion. But when you finally choose to walk away, something shifts. They are left to sit with the emptiness of your absence, and that is when they begin to feel the weight of their choices. At first, they may not even notice you are gone. They may assume you will reach out again, that you will check on them, that you will still be waiting in the background, just like before. But as the days turn into weeks and you remain silent, they start to realize something is different this time. The messages they once ignored are no longer coming. The late-night calls they used to expect are no longer happening. The unwavering support they relied on has disappeared. It is in this space of silence that they begin to feel the true consequence of losing you. People often do not appreciate what they have until it is gone. When you were there, always available, always understanding, they had no reason to fear losing you. Your love, your presence, and your energy were things they took for granted, assuming they would always be within reach. But the moment you remove yourself from their life, they are forced to confront what they lost. They start to remember the way you made them feel, the way you cared, the way you loved them unconditionally. And with each passing day, the absence of those things becomes more noticeable. Regret is a powerful emotion, and when someone realizes they let go of something valuable, it can consume them. They may try to distract themselves, to convince themselves that they are fine without you. But late at night, when the distractions fade and they are left alone with their thoughts, the regret creeps in. They start to replay moments in their mind, wondering why they didn't appreciate you when they had the chance. They begin to question their choices, realizing that they pushed away someone who only ever wanted to love them. But here's the most important part. By the time they realize what they lost, you are no longer in the same place. You have moved on, not just physically, but emotionally. You have found peace in your own growth, in your own happiness. And while they are drowning in regret, you are thriving in the life you created for yourself. Letting them feel the consequences does not mean waiting for them to suffer. It does not mean checking to see if they miss you or hoping they will come back. It simply means stepping back and allowing life to teach them the lesson they refused to learn when you were still there. It means focusing on yourself, knowing that your worth was never dependent on their validation. One day they may try to reach out. They may send a message, hoping to test the waters, to see if you are still waiting. But you won't be. Because the most powerful thing you can do is show them not through words, not through anger, but through your actions that you were never an option. You were always the prize. And now they have to live with the reality of knowing they lost something they will never find again.